I want to talk to you about owner-operator leased company. In other words, I want to quickly sort of mention owner-operator lease agreements, everything you need to know this year. So the thing is that here's an overview. One great way for trucking companies or even cargo van companies or sprinter van companies or box truck companies, one way they can increase their transport strength is by really retaining owner-operator drivers to actually expand their fleets, right? Because the whole thing is you can be a solopreneur, you can be an owner-operator, but if you want to really sort of increase your operational efficiency, you want to partner with other owner-operator drivers. So, but because these drivers are independent contractors, they need a formal owner-operator agreement to ensure everyone understands what's expected of them, right? It's all about everybody actually just making sure that they are mitigating risk. They are actually making sure that people are having their rights and responsibilities clearly stayed out. Now, one thing I want to say here is that a properly prepared motor carrier lease agreement provides a detailed list of requirements for the trucking company and the owner operator, and a trucking company or a cargo van company or sprinter van company. Okay, and this document actually increases transparency and eliminates confusion, and that's what you want. You want to have clarity of a purpose. So preparing this legal and binding document requires knowing what details to include, let's say, in the agreement, and also how to implement them to protect all parties. I'm talking about all parties, the shippers, the drivers, and what have you. So careful preparation on the front, and on the front end, if you are able to be thorough on that end, you are able to avoid trouble down the road. Okay. So what is an owner operator lease agreement? Let's talk about that. So practically, an owner operator lease agreement is actually a contract that outlines specific terms when a trucking company, cargo van company, sprinter van company, or just let's say a transportation company in general actually leases services from independent truck drivers or just drivers in general. So this agreement is necessary because the owner operator is not an employee and is providing a hauling services, a set of hauling services to the company for a specific jobs. Okay, and so in return, the company pays an agreed upon a fee to the driver. So a detailed lease agreements between the trucking company or cargo van company or sprinter van company and owner operator covers potential issues that might actually come up during the temporary relationship, and this clearly sets expectations upfront as to what's really expected legally. So let me talk about the types here. So what are the types of owner-operator lease agreements? You actually have three, okay? You have a lease purchase agreement, you have lease program, and you have lease own agreement. Let me break it down for you, okay? Now, let's first talk about lease purchase agreement. So sometimes known as a lease to own agreement, this program allows an owner-operator to pay a set monthly fee to the carrier for use of the truck or the cargo van or the sprinter van used in an ongoing contract. So the contract has to be ongoing, okay? Has to be ongoing for a while. And at the end, the driver has the option to actually buy the vehicle. Sometimes you hear the terms buy back the vehicle. So the lease purchase agreement can be really ideal for certain situations. For instance, if you have owner operators who are just starting, don't have enough money to invest in a vehicle, or have poor or no credit. If your FICO score is around 300 or 350 or somewhere in that neighborhood, you might just be better off go with a lease purchase agreement. So lease purchase agreements help get drivers behind the wheel and earn money and a reputation for that matter by taking on jobs. That's what you want. You want to take on jobs. You want to start hauling. You want to start hauling loads so you can build yourself a reputation. So factors that should be in a lease purchase agreement are actually the lease length. Common time frames are between 1 and 3 years. The vehicle's age and what responsibility the driver has for maintenance cost and repairs. This has to be clear. Next, you have so besides the lease purchase agreement, you have the lease program. So similar to the lease purchase agreement, a lease program means a trucking company, a cargo van company, a sprinter van company, or have you lends a vehicle to an independent driver for use on the job, but the owner operator is not required to buy the truck or the sprinter van or the cargo van or any other vehicle at the end of the lease. So once the contract ends, the company can either renew the lease to the driver or lease him or her a different vehicle. So this arrangement is not much different from leasing a car, making payments for a set period of time, then returning the car at the end of the lease. So while monthly payments can actually be lower with truck lease programs, the driver might need to put a down payment on the vehicle before actually driving it. Okay, and so in addition, these agreements sometimes have certain credit requirements depending on the finance company the carrier uses to structure the lease. The third category of lease programs I want you to really understand is the lease own agreements. Now, the lease own agreements is a little particular in the sense that it really depends on certain criteria. Okay, so with lease own, I mean with lease to own and lease program structures, owner operators rent trucks from carriers. Okay, they rent, quote unquote, of course. Okay, now in lease own agreements, the driver already owns the truck or a sprinter van or a cargo van and leases his or her rig and other appropriate equipment to the trucking company. So basically, the relationship goes now from the owner operator back to the shipping company. Okay, before it was actually the other way around, right? So now this is the owner operator being quote unquote in control, actually, and leasing the appropriate equipment back to the trucking company, to the cargo van company, or to the sprinter van company. So through this process, the owner operator allows the company to use his or her vehicle to haul freight on behalf of the company. So this is actually what happens here. And what I want you to really remember here is that the movement of operational efficiency goes from the owner operator back to the company. Now, leasing onto a trucking company or a cargo van company or a sprinter van company or a box truck company or other vehicle can be ideal for the driver because the trucking company handles most of the paperwork and fuel tax, okay? And the company also finds the freight and jobs while providing dispatching services. So anything about back office, anything about dispatching, anything about load board searching, whatever, all those things are taken care of by the company. Okay, the driver has to sit at the wheel and just haul freight. So that's pretty much what he or she has to do. So when you think about the owner operator lease the company, let's talk about the components here. So what are the key components of owner operator agreements? Let's have a clear conversation about that. So regardless of the type of agreement, the contracts actually should include specific key terms. And the FMCSA offers a truth in leasing regulations found in Part 36, Section 36, 37.6.11 and 37.6.12. So those guidelines actually provide certain specifications when it comes to developing agreements between carriers and owner operators. Okay. Now, some of these must-have lease arrangements are: who is involved with the agreement? This has to be clear. Who are the parties to the contract? Okay. So basically, this basic information includes the names of both the driver and the carrier company, such as DBAs, and requires the signature of all parties involved. Okay, so this has to be clear. So besides who is involved, the FMCSA mandates that you have the duration of the agreement. So the details this actually details the start and end dates of the contract. It also includes any potential extensions that might be necessary due to weather-related issues or delays in loading or unloading. And when I speak about start and end dates, you have to actually spell out the dates in plain English. Don't actually rely just on numbers because numbers could be interpreted differently. So the FMCSA wants you to really this is a legal document, by the way. So the FMCSA wants you to spell out the dates in plain English. Next, you have to really when you look into when you look at the key components of owner operator agreements, you have to really mention the equipment to be used. So I'm telling you because if you are an owner operator, you want to make sure the carrier, the company actually includes that. So you want to have the equipment to be used. So equipment used during transport can include the truck itself, the cargo van itself, the sprinter van itself. So let's just say the vehicle itself, the trailers, lift gates, tie down devices, and also converter dollies. Okay, and now this requirement would also include which party is actually responsible for providing or even paying for the specified equipment, right? It has to be pretty clear. Also, if you're thinking about the key components of owner operator agreements, you got to have possession and control during the lease terms. The lease term. Let me explain that here. So when I speak about possession and control, it's not just about who is doing it, but it's also under what circumstances that person is actually having possession and control. So this section states that the trucking company has control of the owner operator driver and any equipment used during the leasing period, and the owner operator is actually responsible for following the trucking company's specific rules during the term. By the way, like I said, I'm using the trucking company here, but this agreement is also applicable to cargo van company, sprinter van company, box truck company. So you have any kind of, let's say, logistical setup. So you also have to mention within an owner-operator lease agreement, you want to have also the compensation and pay rate for the owner-operator. Now, the thing is that there are many ways a trucking company can compensate a driver for hauling specific cargo. So, but this needs to be specified in the agreement, okay? Let me give you a few guidelines to follow if you were to really specify or even articulate that aspect of the contract. So you want to really the payment method must be clearly stated, such as a per mile or a percentage of revenue. I mean, if you want to go RPM, like revenue per mile, or RPC, revenue per contract, or any kind of or RPP, revenue per project, it has to be clear. The payment period from proof of delivery submission must be reasonable, no longer than 15 days. Payments based on a revenue percentage should include a right to inspect carrier billing in the lease, and also any chargebacks initially paid by the trucking company are typically charged to the owner operator. So this is something because this is actually there to incentivize the owner operator to actually act properly. Next, you also want to have a carrier and owner operator legal obligation. I mean, because again, this is a legal document, this is a contractual document. So you want to make sure things are pretty clear, just in case folks might have to go to court. You want to really spell out clearly, you want to spell out the rights and responsibilities, okay? Now, the lease must specify any liability and cargo insurance offered by the trucking company and which party has a responsibility for types of insurance, permits, paperwork, or similar issues. Okay. For example, if the company purchases insurance, the driver needs information on the policies. This might also include information about mediation or arbitration if necessary. This is critical. Why? Because accidents involving trucks, especially trucks, can cost a lot of cash. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have the proper sort of risk mitigation process in place, including insurance policies, to make sure that everybody is covered should something were to happen. Okay. Now, if you have an accident, a typical accident, let's say involving a cargo van or a sprinter van, this might not be as serious as if you had an 18 wheeler. So that's why. Also, you want to think about contract termination procedures. So the lease agreement must clearly outline specific termination procedures. Actually, if problems come up, again, nobody's perfect. Things happen. Problems actually arise, and problems are bound to arise because you have humans actually entering into a certain level of interaction, whether commercial or not commercial. You might have problems. Okay, so you just want to think about that possibility of problems showing up. So basically, when I speak about contract termination procedures, Those include the circumstances in which the arrangement might be ended and the process for removing the trucking company's name on lease termination. And also, you want to have deductions to be made in case of property damage. So the lease needs to outline provisions to be made by the owner operator should the cargo be, let's say, damaged at the point of origin, destination, or even en route. Okay, if you have, let's say, a problem happen while the load is being hauled, this also could be a possibility. Now, let me talk to you about the receipt of equipment process. So, when you think about a lease, like an owner-operator lease agreement, the receipt of equipment process is a quintessential part. So, once both parties have agreed to the lease terms and signed the document, the trucking company and driver complete a receipt of equipment statement. So, this is mandated by the FMCSA, by the way. So, the government just wants to make sure that all the parties are clear as to what equipment was received, under what circumstances, and when. So basically, when you have the receipt of equipment statement, basically here is a document that puts the truck company on the not the truck company, the vehicle, the truck, the cargo van, the sprinter van, under the company's umbrella, and gives it the right to inspect the owner operator's equipment to ensure it meets specific standards. This is important because the trucking company is responsible for the driver's compliance and their vehicle, according to the FMCSA. So this is one of those things where trucking companies, sprinter van companies, let's say cargo van companies, and others are pretty strict about. Okay, so once that lease is signed, the FMCSA regards both driver and truck as belonging to the company for the duration. For example, if the owner operator doesn't maintain a logbook or is ticketed for safety violations, that information becomes part of the company's safety data. Okay, so and this could be a part of the company's reputation, by the way. Okay, and so finally, the proof of lease must be in the vehicle and the power unit marked with the trucking company's name and DOT information. Okay, and so this is what it is now. Once you go through an owner-operator lease agreement, of course, you have to really think also about finding more high-paying loads, because the whole thing is that you want to have loads. Otherwise, the whole agreement is not going to last that long. So with the paperwork out of the way and owner-operators on board, the next step is to find and book high-paying loads. So this is kind of cool. So you can use load boards to actually get some kind of high-quality loads with trusted brokers and all. I mean, you have a lot when it comes to load boards. You have a truck stop, you have dots, you have you have a lot. You have 1, 2, 3 load boards. So you have all kinds of load boards out there, both free and paid. So here's a coda into this conversation I spoke to you about owner operator lease the company. I give you the overview, the types, and the components. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.